this is Runa and you're listening to the Changemakers podcast, where we share tips, insight, tools and stories from other changemakers designed to motivate you to become the change you want to see in your world. Make sure you join our Changemakers community at runamagnus.com/podcast. And now, this is your time to sit back, relax and enjoy. Hello, beautiful people. Guess what? Today I have a guest, Bryan Luoma, who is the founder and president of Cadsourcing. To know a whole lot more about that, and I'm gonna be drilling into what that is all about. But as they say on their website, he is an industry performer. He's been building a socially responsible company that follows the best practices of B Corporation principles. And that's another thing. The B Corporation is something that is not universal, so we need to know a little bit more about that. To integrate his business with a higher purpose to help others build stronger communities and affect positive change in the world. I had to get Bryan on our podcast because anyone who is a change maker and is helping organizations to build a stronger communities to affect positive change has to be on the Changemakers podcast. Duh. So welcome, Bryan.
Thank you.
To have you with us today. What a pleasure.
Yeah, it is a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm definitely looking forward to this. Thanks a lot.
Oh, I have to drill in. First of all, what is Cadsourcing?
Sure. Well, Cadsourcing is a CAD drafting service. So we provide CAD drafting services to architects and engineers, mostly across the US, but a little bit in Canada as well, providing drafting services on high volume, big projects, a lot of work in the telecom industry, doing cell towers and rooftop antennas. I say it's a boom right now because all the carriers want to have their map either all red or all blue or all yellow when they're doing their advertisements about network densification. So we've been helping a lot in that. We also work with some of the biggest fast food chains that you know that are doing their branding upgrades and doing that work as well. So we're doing some exciting stuff on big projects with my team in the Philippines, supplemented with my team here in the US. Right now we have about 65 people in the Philippines, another 10 or so here in the US, and trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah. How did this start all for you? I mean, why did you go into this field of business?
Sure. Well, I grew up in northern Minnesota, and I had an entrepreneurial itch from the beginning. I was selling mail order shoes and started my own landscaping business, kind of maybe the typical starter stuff, maybe, I don't know. But I was, relatively smart in math, and my dad was a civil engineer. And so I followed that path and went to Rutgers University in New Jersey and got my degree there in civil engineering. But I always had this entrepreneurial itch. And then, so I was reading 4-Hour Work Week and Rich Dad, Poor Dad and stuff like that. But then one day I saw a post from my cousin in the Philippines, who's also a civil engineer, on a gas station he was working on. And I was like, wow, that looks awesome. That's really good. And so I said, I reached out to him and said, is that, if I got you work, would you be willing to draft it up? And I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into, but he said, yeah. And then we, so I said, oh, great. And we put up a website, and next thing you know, we started getting work, and I was like, hey, you better hire people. And I think really what caused that to be the thing that allowed, or that gave me the drive or the passion to, leave my day job and to, go full speed into this, was the passion I had around being able to help my family, initially, as a starting point. My mom immigrated to the US about 40 years ago. And, I saw growing up, we didn't have much, but she was still sending $100 here and there every few months or every other month to the Philippines to help her family. And then when our financial situation got a little bit better, she was, sending cousins through college and medical school and engineering school. And so I kind of picked up that feeling about helping our family. And so when this opportunity came to start a business that I believed had a future, but also to be working with my family in the Philippines to give them good jobs, to give them technical jobs, I was, really excited about that. And then, I was able to grow that. And now, I'm happy to say that there's 65 families in the Philippines that, kind of depend on Cadsourcing and the technical jobs that we provide. In the Philippines, a lot of people that get engineering and architectural degrees end up moving overseas, end up working in Japan or the Middle East or Europe or even the US because there aren't those good technical jobs in the Philippines. So, or they end up working in a call center because, they're smart and their English is good and this and that. And the Philippines is the number one destination for outsourced voice work, so call center work in a lot of ways. But that's not utilizing their technical skills. So having the opportunity to give good technical jobs, good paying job in the Philippines was something that I was really excited about. And then we've been able to leverage that into other things as we've, our income's improved and, our revenues have increased. We've been able to take that to higher steps as well.
Yeah. And it sounds to me, when you're saying that, it sounds to me like you're creating jobs and livelihood to how many? 67 families?
Around 65. We're always trying to add people, so it could be plus or minus a couple of people, maybe.
Yeah, and 65 families is quite a lot. And that thing about when you start to help your family, I think for most of us, we can relate to that passion to be able to do good. I start to think about when we start to see the world as one big family. How would that look like?
Yep.
And it sounds like you're on the way when you're saying that 65 families are like, okay, it's a whole lot more than just his family.
Yep. Yeah, especially in this day and age where there's all these feeling about putting up walls and you guys have the analogy about putting people in boxes. Yeah. I think that's not good for us and it's not good for the world. The stat that I had read recently was that 1950, 90% of the world's population was in abject poverty. And now through globalization, that number has reduced to, I think, 4%. However, I think that in the beginning, there was a lot of exploitation and things not being done the right way. And you created this stereotype about outsourcing where, it's sweatshops and this and that. And you still hear that in the news. And I think that I want to be part of that next wave, part of the evolution of working in a global community where you look at the partners that you're working with and are they treating their employees right? Are they, giving them health care? Are they paying them for their overtime work, giving them work schedules that are reasonable? And so we try and do things the right way. Last year we had a couple people on maternity leave, and I think we've got another one coming up, and bereavement leave and vacation time and trying to create a positive work environment. I think that we can be part of this new wave of treating everyone in the right manner, improving the lives of everyone across the globe. So I don't want to be building up walls, putting people in boxes. Yeah. I want to try and improve everyone's lives.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. What we've noticed as we're writing the book, the story of boxes, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is that we come to accept that we will always do that. So it's our mechanism. I think what we can do is to be aware of, am I putting you into a bad box or am I putting you into an ugly box? Because if I do that, I am doing the same thing for myself and I'm limiting myself as I do that to you. So from that angle, I think, we welcome the boxes, the good box, but we want to eliminate the bad and the ugly ones.
Sure.
So that goes to really interested for any change makers out there who are building their businesses and they want to, like you, help to build stronger communities and affect positive change in the world. What do you say would be the key things to either steps or things to think about so that they can start to on that journey? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it really it goes back to creating your mission statement and your core values for your company, and then living by that. A lot of times in the very beginning, you're struggling, you're working really hard, and you have difficulty pulling back and trying to see what is the actual vision for the company. So when we set our core values, one of the core values we set was service. Not only service to your fellow employees, to the clients, obviously, but also to the communities that we work in. So we have a program called CAD Giving Activities, and we talk about it all the time. It's a quarterly program. Just last month, I was in the Philippines with my team, and we took the entire team, 60 some people, to a center for street children, where they find either orphaned or abandoned children on the streets, and they bring them to the center so that they get off the streets. And we spent the day there. We fed them, we played with them, danced with them, sang with them, and it was it was a great opportunity to bring some joy to them. And then the quarter prior to that, we were in a center for the elderly and disabled children. And again, just kind of spending the day with them. And we're Filipino, so we love to sing and dance. So they did. We had some skits prepared and some entertainment and stuff like that. And I really find that doing good things like that, and there's I could give you a list of other things that we do, but doing good things like that is something that is really good for business. It makes your team more dedicated, makes them more motivated. We just completed our latest quarterly employee net promoter score survey, where you ask your employees a simple question: how likely are you to suggest to your colleagues that they should work for your company? And scale it on 0 to 10. And I was really pleased by how many of our employees spoke to our core values and CAD giving as a major reason why they would suggest to their colleagues that they should work for our company. And even there was a couple of people that would technically be described as detractors that said we should be doing more. And that, to me, I welcome that, because it means we're hiring the people that are passionate about these core values. It's part of our interview process. It's why we hire people. It's why we let people go. Thankfully, we don't have to do that too often, but it is part of what we do. So I think that, going back to your original question, what should an entrepreneur look to is really purposefully deciding what their mission is and what their core values are, and then running the company with that in mind.
I fully agree with you. What I'm seeing so often is somehow, I would say often, this is a knowledge that you should do, but for some reason there are very few who are actually doing it, and are doing it in a way that their employees are aligned with the company's values. So I always thought it was, well, maybe I'm wrong here, but I kind of always thought, okay, so the ones who are doing it, like you, it takes courage, it takes some initiative, and you stick with it.
I don't know, I don't want to be boastful, but I do think it takes a little courage, but you understand it's that first step that takes a lot of courage. But once you take that first step, you kind of, you walk into the light and you see how much better it is. And then at that point, it's easy. But that first step does take courage, because rest of society and the business books or whatever, they don't focus on that.
No.
So you kind of have to take the road less traveled. But I tell you, once you get off the path, it opens up and it becomes a lot easier after that.
Take the road less traveled, because that's when the gates are open. And I mean, I'm in branding. I've been doing personal branding for 12 years now. And, this is really what you say, be authentic, be real, show that what makes you stand out. So sometimes when I think about this thing, I think, well, maybe you shouldn't talk too much about it, because that means that everyone is going to be doing that, and that doesn't make it any special anymore. But hey, I don't think so, actually. I think that any business, just like any DNA, is different and unique, and you will always find that uniqueness that is in your brand when you take that first step and you build that courage to take that first step. I really love that first step. So just take that first step forward.
It's a lot more exciting. One thing I hate is boring, and so I'm going to try and push the envelope. I think it's a lot more fun that way, anyways.
Absolutely. One final question to you, Bryan. You come across to me as someone who has, down the line, made up your mind that there is something that you want to change in the world. Can you share with us, what is the change that you want to see in your world, and what do you see as your role in creating that change?
I mean, really, I want to be part of what I'm calling outsourcing 2.0, where it's globe coming together. And now, when information is as free as possible, as free as it's ever been, that we can look at our way that the partners are working overseas and working with in the global community, and saying, is that the type of partner we want to have? And pushing companies to start treating their employees globally the way they'd want them done in their own neighborhoods. And I think that's happening. And I'm not saying that I'm any, leader in that or anything, but I want to get the word out that there is that opportunity. And I feel like we are part of that. And there's other people that are doing great stuff as well. And we want to celebrate those and shine those as the beacon as to how we can work in this global economy, as opposed to saying, you know what, it doesn't working, let's box ourselves in and be that ugly box.
And create walls and all of the things that are making us feel lonely and isolated and not belonging, when all we want is to belong in a good box.
Yes.
Yeah. Bryan, thank you so much for your insights and your wisdom, that I know changemakers will find it useful and will be connecting with you. Now, before I say goodbye, I know that we're going to be sharing all the information about you in our show notes, but just for the record, can you share that with them? Where can they find you and where can they connect with you?
Sure. Well, if they go to our website, cadsourcing.com, they'll see all the information about the CAD giving activities we do. If anyone wants to reach out to me, my email is Bryan, Bryan, at cadsourcing.com. Shoot me an email. I'd love to talk to you about what we're doing. If you're starting a business and want to see how you can implement that stuff in your own business, I love to talk about this stuff, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. So, reach out to me there.
Love that. Thank you so much, Bryan. Was this podcast of value for you? I sure hope so. If so, feel free to share the love and give us your generous review on iTunes or Stitcher. And remember that you can always go to runemagnus.com to find out more about the changemakers and how we can help you drive the change you want to see in